Thanks for checking out our podcast. On this episode, we're going to be digging into the future of SSP, including starting our new company, Straight Shot Studios, our brand new hire at the company, who is an interesting case because they're our first international employee, and there's a lot to discuss there. And in that regard, we also dig deep into remote culture, building remote culture at companies and remote workflows. And if you stick around to the end, you're going to get to hear a bit about Grace's therapy. Love that. And our secret personas that help us get through the day. Stay tuned. Of course, I'm here with my constant co-host, Grace Santos, as we have another wonderful week of trying to build a media empire from a basement in Williamsburg, one step at a time. All right, Grace, another week.
Yeah.
What hotel are you in, by the way?
Hotel Santos.
Yeah, we ended up spending quite a few minutes trying to get the lighting decent off our webcam.
This is
but here
awful
we are, man.
lighting for me. Like, I feel like the problems we try to fix for are still here.
It's okay,
like,
bro.
I still
We're
look
making
yellow,
it happen.
but
yeah. I mean, let's just jump into remote work as a conversation starter then, right?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, the whole company is fully remote. I'll give you guys a quick history of that if any of you guys are remote workers or thinking about working remotely. I always thought I'd have an office, mainly for company culture. So when it comes to work from home, my beliefs are if you already have acquired skills and, have a family and things like that, working from home, I think can be really beneficial and fine. But I do think that there is something to say about company culture, about training in particular, and finding mentorship and building relationships that is harder remotely. And so we've done a lot to try to combat that over time. Had to go remote because of the pandemic like everybody else. The company was born in June, July of 2020. And then we just tried to have an office for a short period. We got flooded, so that ended pretty quickly. And then kind of recognized that once we figured out how to do what we do remote, that we could just stay that way. And so we've been growing the company. And in the last few weeks, we've been digging into what the future of this company can be, kind of going through all these different iterations of where Straight Shot Post could go. And, there's kind of a lot to it, but we're currently landing on Straight Shot Studios, some version of becoming content creators, really building towards this sort of Pixar of the future type of company. And so working remotely has ended up becoming a huge benefit to us. We actually just made a hire today.
Argentina.
Yes, Buenos Aires. And really excited about that, to see how that's going to work. She seems super enthusiastic. She seems like she said to me several times, like, I feel like we're on the same page. I think she really gravitated towards the company culture. She didn't seem scared by anything that I said, which usually I kind of try to make sure, I want it to sound worse than it is, because to see how they feel about it all, because obviously, culture is a big thing, finding the right culture fit, especially at a small company like ours. We got a bunch of hustlers, like, everybody here, we have trouble telling people to stop working, and I don't want to do that. And I don't want to bring somebody into the environment that's going to make people feel bad about being who they are. And so it's just been a very important thing. So her name is Sophia. She's coming on to be a project manager. We're super excited to give it a shot. And I'm kind of trying to adhere to this like new policy of hire fast, fire fast, or promote fastest mentality that I heard Mr. Gary Vee talk about. And I'm really excited to give it a shot. So, what did you think? Because we had 2 interviews with her. We didn't make this decision lightly. It's a whole different kind of game in a different market. What was your take on this whole thing?
It's definitely interesting how quickly we made the decision, because when we had our first interview with her, we were like, there's no way we're going to... Well, she said that she had another job lined up, so she was like trying to find out sooner rather than later. And we were like, there's no way we're going to make a decision in the next 2 weeks. You're going to talk to other people. And then we made the decision in like a day, which is rarely happens. Wait, I don't know. Let me think. Like, does that happen? I feel like sometimes
I can count with the people here. At least I have good feelings about them. You, Heather, Elise, kind of.
Elise was me. I fought for Elise.
There you go.
I remember. Yeah. I was like dead set on Elise. Yeah, but I guess it's so interesting when choosing a job. It's really, everyone says this when looking for a job, but it's not as much about the skill. It of course is, but it's really about the person and a culture fit and how they make you feel. And because, yeah, I had like, I had / have 0 qualifications, and yet I'm like doing stuff here just because vibes. And then her too.
Hey, can I actually say something about that real quick?
Yeah.
I had lunch with my parents recently, and my mom asked about you. She's like, how's Grace doing? Is she, no, you know what she said? She said, is Grace, what was the phrasing she used?
Oh God.
She basically was like, is Grace is she employed? I was like, yeah, she's employed, you know? And she's like, is she like with you to the end? And I was like, I hope so, you know? And she's like, good. I like her because she's good, you know? That's all she said. I was just like, that's so funny.
See, I feel like okay.
And by the way, it's not like she's ever seen you work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Aside from the restaurant. I mean, not the restaurant. Aside from the party, when I served the party, that's literally the only work she's seen me do.
I just think people can see the ethic. You know what I mean? They can see just like the value part. You're right. Like you were saying, like, man, I know that she's a hard worker and I know that she cares. Like they could feel that from, you know, just in general. And so, yeah, she was just like, she's like, you better lock that one up, Dale. I was like, I know, Mom.
It's funny. I was talking to my friend about, I'll come back to Penn hiring people, but I was talking to my friend about this, and what was it? I was talking about how when we went to the arcade, like I was kind of killing it. We went to the arcade for a company brunch, and I was kind of killing it. I beat everyone at all the games, and I've never been to an arcade really. And it's kind of a thing in my life where it sounds so cocky, but I feel like anything I approach, I have a lot of beginner's luck. I'm pretty decent at anything I try.
Pick things up pretty quickly?
Yeah, I guess. I'm like, not even, because it's like the first time I attempt it, it's like, oh, that's pretty good. And then it's weird because then I'm like, oh, is that the thing I should be doing? And then I go down it, and then I realize when I enter the world of professionals in that thing, like I suck at it, like obviously. But when I'm naturally good at
though. I don't know if you know that. There's a curve. It's like,
because
your interest is high in the beginning and your growth in the thing is exponential, and then you plateau, and then there's a little dip, and that's the part that you have to get through, and then you skyrocket usually. I forget what it's called.
But I'm saying, like, as in before I even enter learning something, like, I don't know. I was really good at math, so I went down a really big path of math. You probably find it hard to believe because when we're doing math together, I'm like, but I can't do simple math, but I can do like complex calculus.
It's not helpful here though.
I know it's not. That's another thing is like I can do so many things that are so unhelpful. Like I can run like an animal so well. Like that's not helpful to anyone. But when the time arises, sometime like in gym class, like
what do you mean?
They're like run on all fours. I smoke everyone. I'm so fast on all fours. Like it's so I don't know. I'm just randomly good at a lot of things.
Good to
but
know,
it's
man.
Like,
when we do like what is it, Tough Mudder or some shit. We're sending you out first.
I'm ready. I used to watch The Lion King, and I'd run on all fours. That was my thing. But that's a sidetrack about something I learned about myself. And I don't want it to sound like cocky, but I don't know. It's not. I mean, I run into issues with it, so I'll say that. Anywho, hiring people. Back to that. Yeah, I feel good about her, and I feel like we've done this. I mean, I at least have been with you enough times through this to see what kind of people do end up staying. And she seems like she has a level of investment that I think she will work hard and fight to stay. It might not be forever, of course, but yeah. I think it'll be good.
I think at this point we're understanding the kind of qualities that tend to work. I think what's interesting about this one is she actually has some experience. I don't know if it's any good, and I don't look at that as an indicator of skill. Just because
that's another thing. When you hire, you like barely ever look at people's work.
Yeah.
Like you didn't see Elise's work.
That's true. I don't think I've seen anybody's work at the company, but I guess I just believe so strongly in management and training, and I'd rather have somebody who's willing to like. Ew, bro.
I drank a hair.
Get your shit together, girl. Now I know that my parents watch this show, so I'm like, oh, God help me. Oh, I guess I have to correct that too. My father is one of 14, not 13. I think I forgot the twins, that there were twins. So, but yes, sorry, Pop. Love you. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Share. Thanks. So yeah, I guess what I was saying is that, I think we've been through a couple of rounds of this. I'm starting to see patterns. We're not hiring. We can't really hire for senior management. I think with something like that, where it's like, I need a CFO, I think that I'm not just going to take a, you know what I mean? I think, and I don't know that. I kind of know the two roles that we mainly hire for now. which would be producers and editors at this point. You know, it's very much something that we're seeing a pattern of. But really, effort's the number one core value. And like legitimately, I think if somebody's obsessed enough, they just learn what they need to do anyways, in and out of here. Like, it's funny because although, I don't know, people aren't like me, I guess, but like literally I've been saying it now, like we're trying to build Pixar, you know, for the next generation. And I got the book on building Pixar, like Creativity Inc., right? My business coach suggested that to me and I was like, done. And so like, yeah, I don't know how to be Pixar, but I'm just going to read about it and study it and learn it. And I'm just going to acquire whatever skills I'm missing to get me where I need to be. And I think that if I can teach that, where I'm like, you want to be a good leader? Start reading books on leadership, bro, right? Start understanding and mastering story. You're going to have to know that at any part of this company. Read the books on story. Understand structure. Like, repeat. It's not, to me, acquiring skills is not that complicated. It's once you're dealing with big stakes, once you're dealing with what are you going to, these questions no one likes to talk about, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? What is the real end goal for the whole thing? Like that, I think you want to make that decision slowly. But if you figure that out, if she's like, I want to be a post producer, I want to produce content. I'm like, great, make sure you're acquiring and learning outside of here how to be good at that. You know, I spend most of my time at the company is spent with the managers. So, and there's always many things to learn and they're asking me a lot of their advice. And yeah, there's a lot of nuances to it, but I mean, pick up a book and start reading about it, right?
Oh, that's something that I realized it's very nuanced because I've been doing it for a few weeks. And I do have to say, like you were saying today, you're like, oh, Grace can't wait to get rid of this task and hand it over to Sophia. But I do have to say, it's one of the better, I mean, it was hard to jump into it because it's so nuanced. It's not just like HR where I can just like Google these 4 steps and then do it, you know? It's very nuanced and it depends on the client.
Flashback to crying episode. Flash forward. I got to call it out, right? So what, it got easier?
A little bit. Looking at an Asana calendar doesn't scramble my brain as much. It used to. It still does. But it's only been like a month. But it's like bittersweet to give it away because now I'm like, I'm finally getting the hang of something. I don't want to let it go. But definitely so much more fun than taxes. So I can't complain.
You know what? That reminds me of sort of the discovery we had today too, which was if you want to be a good manager, you have to be a jack of all trades in what you're managing and then a master of management. I think it is actually one of the more taxing jobs as far as if you want to be really, really good at it, you have to acquire enough skill in the area that you're managing to talk the lingo, you know, to understand how people work, what's driving them, like, cause from what their tasks are, like, why is my editor tired today? You know, is it that he spent 12 hours staring at a screen? Is it that they tend to be up late? Like, you kind of want to know the editor archetype and what kind of those people are and your specific people, but like knowing Premiere, if they have a problem, being able to answer and provide solutions, it's huge. And then you have to be mastering leadership and, you know, moving the chess pieces we have on the board. We talk about that duality all the time. So definitely was sort of a highlight of the week was I also felt like I was able to make a I'm very slow decision maker, notoriously slow and a notoriously slow eater and just a notoriously slow at everything. But here I really was like, I guess this is why it was so good to go through finances and make sure we had enough saved and know what I could do with the money. So the decision wasn't that hard to make, knowing what things I wanted to accomplish next year. And it was pretty easy to see how she could fit into that. And so it wasn't as difficult of a decision. We do have to make a really difficult decision now because there's a friend of mine who wanted to work with us and I just don't think it's going to work anymore. But it is what it is. It's business, you know? So yeah, I guess I wanted to touch on Noelle, this meeting we had with a colleague at Negative Space Comics. Shout out, join their contest, support them. I'm going to hopefully we'll be mentoring with them in the near future and we'll hopefully be collaborating on projects. But I guess I'll start to share a little bit about maybe what the future might be because it is related to why I was so gung-ho about picking up this project manager. But Noelle has a company called Negative Space Comics. They do contests and they provide mentorships for people who want to break into the comic book industry. I met him at Comic-Con, I think 2 years ago now. And or maybe it was last year.
It was
Actually, I
1
don't
year
remember
ago.
how we met him. Yeah.
No, we met him on Google Meet thingy.
It was
for
before
comics.
last Comic-Con. That's why I have it. So we met him 2 Comic-Cons ago. Or 1 Comic-Con ago, because we just went. Either way, he's a super good dude. We learned a bit about his backstory, which I won't show you here, but it was very interesting. And I thought we really bonded yesterday and just kind of, was he really able to peek into each other's brains for a bit? You know,
That's
I
a good
definitely
way to put
respect him
it.
and what he's trying to do. Yeah, you know, we're just, because I don't really know that many other entrepreneurs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and not everyone is like me.
Yeah, the
right?
more we
Like, I
uncovered, the
forget that.
more he was like you, and it was really satisfying to watch that calibrate. Watch y'all calibrate.
Yeah,
really
and so it's definitely, it's an interesting thing. What we're learning about, I guess, look, dude, the heart of it is I got into this to tell stories, to reach people, okay? And then, you know, that's changed so much in the last 10 years. How you do it, what opportunities you have. Now there's crowdfunding. Now there's webtoons and YouTube and Instagram. There's so many ways to tell stories, and I think it's just been taking me a long time to figure out how profitable this stuff can be, how impactful this stuff can be. Like, it's just hard to know. But I did see like an interesting stat, which was like 1 million views on YouTube really only gets you between like $1 and $3 grand for the video, you know? So you're thinking like, that's really, your channel has to be bringing in a couple million views a month, but you're not living off of just AdSense. If it was just AdSense, it's probably not enough to even be like, you know what I mean? You're not making, these YouTubers aren't making as much as you think, but they do brand deals. The brand deals, there's definitely money. They sell their merch, they grow their audience. And that definitely, when you add it all up, it comes together. So that's one big thing that I definitely learned. Number 2 is that it's going to take 5 to 10 years to build anything. Okay. And
That's a lesson reiterated from Comic-Con.
Totally. But like, you have to be willing to do that. And you have to be willing to commit and focus for a long time. And what do I want to do that with became a big question.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I want to find something that I can pour 80, 120 hours a week into and be pumped. So as long as I'm doing that, I think the company itself will be in a good place. If from top down, I'm passionate about it. Third thing is that I've found a lot more gratification working directly on content creation through Snapchat than I have with the client work, as cool as it is. And we're doing some cool ads. We're doing 2 super cool ads right now with Canon. I do love my clients. I appreciate them. But at the end of the day, I guess for lack of a better word, I like the clarity and I like challenges. I like being put to the test. And I really enjoy that if our video is good, your audience likes it, you get rewarded. If your video is bad, they let you know and you don't get rewarded. And I really do like that because I'm a storyteller. And so like as a crafts person, becoming consistent, becoming prolific at it, like I have been so more excited working on Snapchat in the past 6 months, figuring it out, looking at the data, thinking about our audience, telling different stories, you know, and pushing my team to get better at it than I think ever in my entire career. And I mean, dude, we have an audience of about 5 million weekly, man. So it feels really impactful. We're really entertaining people. And I didn't think it was possible. So I think now I'm starting to believe, you know, and I can't get it out of my head. And I think it's time. I want to get some of my stories out. And I think we're going to pivot the company in a direction that allows us to do that long term. And so I think that was a big thing. And talking to Noel really helped me understand that, because he's from Argentina too, oddly enough, the person we hired is in Buenos Aires. And like, he made me think international about it all. And all of a sudden it just lined up, because I met him after we spoke to her the first time. And I was like, dude, I think this is the future. Remote work, talent around the world, find a way to keep your culture strong and people connected, and build a brand and go right to the people if you have it in you. I am starting to put the pieces together, I think, finally, after a long journey of trying to figure it out. And I feel good about it. But I am curious, because you've been there. I was very cranky all of October. So what's your experience been like?
This whole month?
Yeah.
In general, as we're going through
just
these
dealing with me, dragging me around all the place. Like now, like how do you feel like it's getting clearer for you?
Definitely, it is sharpening up. I feel like it all started with when we did the 5-year plan with the Forge, which is our business coaches. And when we built the 5-year plan, we wanted to have all these things like a comic, a radio show, movies, online course, I don't know, all the YouTube. And I was like, how is this going to be possible? Or like, how are we going to choose and how are we going to focus on one thing? And it felt so broad and overwhelming. And then as we went to Comic-Con and we're learning about these things of building IP, basically, it has become clearer. And watching you talk about it as you're finding your way in your mind palace is really interesting. And I think it's very much worth it. At first when I had to drag you places like a year ago, it was always scary and I felt bad because you were so like not wanting to go. But now I totally see the worth in it. Like, I'm like, I don't care what you say, we're going to this thing so you can figure this out. And then it works out and you do figure it out. So
it just takes time, but like, I think we're getting there. And so, yeah, I think Straight Shot Studios is going to become a reality. I think the content we're making now is just a little drop in the bucket, and we're going to hit it hard as soon as we can.
You know,
and
all this talk...
Yeah,
go ahead. All this talk about story, and, you know, you're talking with Noelle saying you have all these stories swirling in your head, and you're like, I need to get it out and, like, find a way. And I'd be so happy just to even... Any way I can get that out, I'd be happy, you know? And you did also, Dale asked the whole company to sign a creative form, like fill out your creative preferences on movies and TV shows, songs, creators. And I was super nervous to fill it out because I feel nervous about sharing about my preferences because I'm like, I don't want people to think I'm dumb for liking something. And so I started brainstorming, you know, and I realized I'm a person who don't have like stories I want to tell. Like when someone asks me, like when people say everyone has a log line, I'm like, I have none. I don't have a log line. I don't have a story. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, I was thinking back into my past and like, or how I function. And I was like, I am not a story person. And this is why when I was in acting school, I was always missing like the biggest points when we're analyzing a story or doing script analysis. Like I was like so lost how everyone understood this one thing that I didn't. And I realized I'm so in the details. Like that is where I find my joy. Like I was thinking of when I would watch The Lion King, I'll say, because I was talking about that earlier. And I was just sometimes, the main thing I remember is staring at their paws the whole time and the way that their little like finger paw was so animated and bubbly and cute and how it would fluctuate when they run. This is so like specific, but I was
but what do you think the animators did? You know, like you saw their work. Yeah, it's like it's all a choice.
And then when I would copy them and running like that, like that's where I first started running on all fours from Lion King. And then I watched a bunch of animal movies and I was running on all fours, but I like would run like this. And then anytime I saw anyone running like this, I'm like, that's not real animal. And I'd be like, it's this. And I don't know, things like that. Or I was listing like some of my favorite shows and I'm like, or movies. And it's not coming from a place of, I liked the story arc. It's coming from a place of like, oh, this was so accurate. And this is so, I think that's a thing that I'm really into about recreating something so accurately is what impresses me more than anything. And so I've been thinking about that.
Dude, I'm glad. I think that was the whole purpose of it, was just to be like, I'm kind of like, if I'm going to build a team where everyone's working on everything, I need to know who they are. I need to know where they're going to be passionate, where they could be best fit into all the different roles and positions. And I think it's a really good exercise, and it's funny because you can tell the people that are super jazzed up and then the people that really don't want to. And I mean, you got a mix. We have a mix of personalities here, which is great. And I have no idea. I'm sure the next podcast will have a lot more to say because we have our big all hands meeting on it next week to sort of talk about it. I don't know, man. I'm going to read all these on Sunday. I'm very curious to see what people are into. And I'm curious how it kind of compares with like my own taste, you know, because you guys are pretty different in sort of age, which I think 10 years in the last 10 years is a much bigger difference than it probably has been. You guys grew up with the phone in your hands, you know? So I definitely am really curious to just see what everybody's sentiments are. But at the end of the day, I think what matters is that, you know, is it possible to build a brand? Can we be profitable doing comics or podcasts or movies or YouTube or whatever it is? And I think the short answer is like, yes, but you know, it's not as clear cut as building an accounting firm or building other things, right? However, I think a lot of that is just because I don't know it. I didn't grow up on it. I understand traditional production and traditional post-production and editing and commercial work.
And it's changing so fast.
Well, of course.
It's also so hard.
Of course, but the fundamentals don't. Like, there's always an ad agency in between or a publisher there.
That's true.
And I know what the average rates are in New York across all these different people. So even in just trading value with these clients, like, I know, like, I'm not afraid to talk to them about anything. And I know because I actually have the data of what kind of margins we can get in this world that I'm like, yeah, this is a good and safe business that we can build. The other one is like, I don't know, the Wild West, it's unknown, right? You could put all the effort into the world for a video and make nothing. You could put no effort into a video and make a lot. We've done both. And so it's very interesting to try to figure out how do we make it something that we can repeat, that we can grow and learn, and that, you know, we ultimately can build a system for creating really high quality stories and products that an audience is going to want. And what audience and where and how do we and how long? Those are all these kinds of questions that I can't wait till we actually really know, because there are so many educational tools and books and things. Literally everybody we ask, there's no real metric. Oh, it depends. It's like, no, come on. Because that's the one problem I had at these panels was they're selling dreams to kids and they're not telling them, bro, 5 to 10 years, if you are good. If you're bad, it never fucking happens.
Who?
Yes. And nobody talks about that. So, and that's why whenever you were with me at all I'd always go up to the presidents of the companies and say, assuming it's good. Let's get that out of the way. I know that's the barrier that matters. Assuming it's good.
To which they'll say it doesn't have to be good.
Yes, but that's because they're saying, but that's if you understand how to connect with an audience. But if it's bad and it doesn't connect with the audience, that's kind of what bad is, right? To the audience. Yeah. They don't like it. Yeah, you're never going to catch any ground. But I don't think people talk about it enough as a skill about perseverance. Yeah, even if it's not as good. Dude, that's the thing. Bad movies become cult classics sometimes. You don't even know. Yeah. Somebody made a career out of making horrible movies. It's wild. And shout out to Gamal, our lawyer, who was saying, I was like, yeah, well, you know, I would give up this IP or that IP and just to get published, to get the name out there. And he was the one that was like, dude, you know how to build a business. A lot of people say stuff like that to me, and I just basically politely remind them that just because it may not be something you like or love, that might end up being the big breadwinner or the baby of the company. I'm like, don't forget that. Any of the IPs can pop off. So if you can build it yourself and not give it up, it's always better to do that. And that kind of also opened my eyes up too. And I think one of the benefits of the world that we're living in now is that we can get around the gatekeepers. We can go right to the people through these various platforms. If you know how to utilize digital media, which thank God we've been marketing for all these companies and brands. I feel like once we learn how to switch that on ourselves and flip the switch and invest some money, we should be okay. We can't be bad at it. We've been doing it for 3 years successfully for big brands. That's the theory in my head anyways. So getting people to go to our thing, we should be able to figure out. And then we just have to make sure our thing is way better than they ever would expect. It's crazy. See, that's what I mean when I'm like, I'm getting to a place, and I don't know if anyone who's listening kind of connects with this, where it's like, I've put my head down, I've been doing the work, but there's that part of me that's been slowly there, nagging, and now it's just bubbling up. That I'm like, okay, can I make these two things come together? Because if I can, then I'm just going to, I think, you know, I'll be there 80, 90, 100, every day I'll be grinding so hard for it. And I'm like, okay, maybe we can align it, you know? Maybe we can align things.
The difference between you and, I mean, I guess most people, like entrepreneurs versus other non-entrepreneurs, is like that feeling is bubbling up. And so then, and you have technically the resources to be able to execute, you know, like make a movie, maybe not to the quality that is in your mind, but you could theoretically make it. And so I guess, right? Is it that like most people just, it's an option to just go and make it.
I see what you're kind of getting at. Yeah.
Right?
Well, this is kind of what I was even talking with Noelle about. I was like, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it so that you could become a filmmaker, writer, or whatever? Because realistically, right now, we could just empty the bank account and go make a feature.
Exactly. Yeah. If that's like what's coming up and you're like, I need to make it, you could just go make it. The difference, though, and the challenge is anybody can get their one shot. I want to build something that can be repeated. And if you want to be able to repeat the thing and have be prolific with it, you need it to be
a system. You need it to be something that is controllable. And so that's what I'm really trying to figure out. How do I make it controllable so that we can snowball it? This thing can go beyond me. We can become Disney or Pixar, right? Like, we can actually get there way beyond me, bro. 200, 300 years from now, who's carrying the mantle? How good has the work gotten better? Are we more connected? Are we more diversified across new media, right? Like, if we start the IP now, if we do any one of our shows, create characters now, in 200 years, where are they? That's kind of where my head is, and that is definitely entrepreneurial, right? We're thinking way longer term than most individuals do, and I'm just really looking for that alignment. So I would say that's probably by far and away the biggest part of what this week really was filled up with.
Literally Wednesday, like the whole second half of the day was like 4 hours of just talking about this. And we never get that kind of uninterrupted time to do that. So that was really good.
Yeah. Which will allow me to possibly turn it over to some more things on the personal side, which basically, I wanted to do a quick mention because one of the things that I do to try to control myself a little bit is I utilize personas. I think we should do a whole episode on this personally, but I'm curious if anybody out there has an alter ego, how they use it. But I have two. I have a good guy and a bad guy. If you guys are curious about me going more into it, I will. But as I'm trying to get myself back on my routine, it's really helpful for me to have an alter ego so that it's not me, if that makes sense. It's not me at work. It's a persona that I'm playing. It's not me during the workout. It's this role that I'm playing, kind of like, I guess, like an actor. And so it's a lot easier for me because people are like, wow, you're not an extrovert? I'm like, no, dude, I'm playing a role. I'm acting. You know what I mean? I think we've heard that like 4 times this month. Nah, you're not an extrovert, really? And it's like, I give them this look, like, don't fuck, gotta watch my language. Like, don't ask me that question ever again. I give them like that look and they're like, oh, I guess he's actually not. Whoa. And I'm like, yes, this is performance. This is my alter ego. You know what I mean? That lets me get through it. And so I guess I wanted to say that, like, throughout all of this, it's been like, I've really been with me. It's way harder with me, the real me, deep, trying to figure out and understand these things. Once I find alignment, though, I know we're going to be good. And then I can put my head down and I can just repeat everything I need to do to make it happen. And I think we're getting there. And so I was curious, do you have
a persona?
Yeah.
Totally. I have so many personas.
Oh,
I felt like
Jesus.
Nika saying that just now. I was like, absolutely. No, absolutely 1,000%. No. Sorry, I was being Nika. Totally have personas. I talked about.
Hold on.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is she okay?
Okay.
She leaving?
I'll see you later.
Yeah, you got it.
Bye.
You good? Okay. Honestly, I do have to mention, because it's one of the most difficult things, is like, I was with my parents and my mom just obviously popped in, and it's tough because when I talk to them and they want to see me more, all I'm telling them is like, they're like, what happened to that girl you had a date with? I'm like, Mom, I know this doesn't sound normal, but like, all I'm trying to do is find something so I can devote more of my life to it, more work. That's what I want. That's what's going to make me happy. And it's so hard to do that. It's like, no, I don't want to go and hang out. No, I don't want to do anything. I don't know. I'm not saying it's probably generally not healthy, but it definitely makes me happy. And I feel really weird about it. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to like be myself and like own it. But it's not easy.
Yeah, it's hard because people say that, work-life balance, you don't have to work that much. But if it makes you happy.
Yeah. Like,
it makes you happy.
It. It's just whatever. I feel bad, I guess is what I'm saying. I have guilt about it all,
Mm-hmm.
I did. However, that did end up cutting you off. So you do have alter egos as well. See, that's me not having an alter ego, or it's like, it's way easier if I'm just in work mode, but I'm not around my parents,
I definitely think, I don't think it's conscious, but I do enter into different personas. I was talking about this in therapy yesterday. Therapy.
Nice. Where's the animation? Bing, 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 bing. We need
recurring
to have a thing.
theme.
Whoosh, Grace in therapy. Yes, hit me.
I haven't been to therapy in like a long time, so this is fresh. You were talking about personas, and I was talking about how like there's a version of myself. There's so many different versions of yourself, and I can
Shout
get
out
so nerdy about this.
Evangelion fans in the crowd, please comment. anyways, go on.
I can get super dirty about this, but I was like, I like the version of myself when I'm with this specific friend. And I can't seem to be like that unless I'm with her, where I'm super outgoing and I don't care about anything. And like my conversations, like when I'm in her presence, me talking to anyone else flows so much easier. Probably just because I feel really safe and comfortable with that friend to be myself.
Like?
Huh? What's her personality
like?
She's super outgoing and she loves people and she's so fascinated by them, but also has like a introverted part of her where she's like, after a big night, she's like, I need to go home.
But are you not seeing like...
What? Not seeing what?
Well, your personality matches hers, so like when you're with
No. She's like way more outgoing than I am, and like she can do things like night after night. She can hang out for days on end. I can't do that. I need to go home. But she's just really outgoing. And so I really like that. But anyway, I don't know. I feel like I do different personas based on who I'm with. And it's not very conscious, but it just happens where, I try to match, but also create balance. And then, I totally have like a work persona, different work personas at my 2 different jobs, like just different. And it's funny because when I was in school, I don't think I really had a persona that much because, acting school, they're like, find your true self. And it's like a lot of like laying on the floor, closing your eyes and just thinking about yourself. So like not much persona there unless I'm acting. So I'm not used to having like a persona for so long in the day, like a work persona. And then I find myself when I come home or like, log off and then I'm like myself and I'm like, whoa, there's so much that I don't think about that's actually me. And so, I'm like spending less time with my real self and I feel like I'm always in personas and it's kind of weird. I don't know how to deal with it. It's uncomfortable a little.
Well, that's interesting. I try to control it like everything in my life, of course. So it's the opposite of you. There's a version, well, not really. There's a version of me that I like, that I want to be pretty much all the time, if I could. So I'm kind of just more like working, kind of like fake it till you make it, or really like believe it till you achieve it, where I'm like, I want to be a world-class CEO, and so I'm gonna act like one, and it's hard, and I fail all the time, and I play video games, and then I feel guilty about it. But I have, as long as you have good EQ, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you understand your emotions and you really are none of the stuff I'm saying is like, I live an extreme life, but I'm not taking everything is purposeful. Nothing is, you know what I mean? So I'm not afraid of it. It's just more like, I believe you have the control and power in your life. So I'm like, I don't know, I'm looking at you. And if you have 15 different personas and you hate 5 of them and you like 3 of them, then just try to be those. And,
but a lot of the time, it's like in my restaurant, it's like, I have to have this persona for safety, like to protect myself.
That's an opinion though. That's what you think.
Yeah, totally. Please. Like I'm super soft, I would say. And, like it's easy for anyone to step over me. That's why I gotta be like super, like, this is how it is. No, you can't have the steak with like this, blah, blah, I don't know, And
yeah, and so you're saying you prefer to not do that.
Yeah, but like I do it.
You do what works
for efficiency, for safety, because I've been stepped on, because I've been,
Oh yeah, no, I got it because I know on the other side where it's like, I think it's funny. I think I only took the position that I did earlier was just simply because Grace, I say this all the time. I built this company so I could be myself somewhere. Mm-hmm. So for 30 years of my life, there was a mask on. Mm-hmm. And the only club that I fit in was the one that I started, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely get it. And I just feel differently about it now because for most of my day, I'm myself. Finally. And all of a sudden,
you just said
everything good in my life went there.
Persona.
Yes. What I mean is I can operate though. Like, yes, I have to be more extroverted in the workplace, because I'm trying to be, and it is the CEO persona. But what I'm saying is that I like that way more than the one that I had to be.
Right.
Because in that regard, you are correct. Like, the true me, bro. It's just the true me I don't want to be, right? I want all the good parts of the INTJ and the dedication, the focus. I want to get rid of all the lazy parts, in my opinion. This is me, my choices, what I want to do with my life. Yeah. Like, I want that. So it's the real me now. Like I'm in the process of changing, but I'm using the persona as a way to help trick me into doing all the things that I want to do. The only thing that I know that is not sustainable long-term is like, I'm not a big people person. I never will be, or I don't even want to be. I guess that's the other part of it, right? I just don't want that. It's too much work. But outside of that, it's not like I'm ever upset. It's just funny. It's like, I'm not upset when that people look up to me at this company. And obviously, like a lot of people wish they would have, I don't know, admirers or something or whatever you call it. It's not really why I'm doing it, but you need to do that to create a company where people care. If they don't believe in the guy at the top and they don't believe that he cares about them, which I do care about the people here, obviously. But like, I really did have to do work to get into that place. And that's why I have to have this persona, because it's not naturally me. I am a loner. I am a mercenary. You know, that's really who I have been. And so I'm just working at it. But when I can build the culture, so much of it, and I think a big, big thing here is communication. So much of the communication and the way we communicate is what's natural and what's efficient and what feels good to me. And that, I can tell you, has changed so much in my life and has brought me so much more happiness. Just being able to talk the way that I want to talk, which, you know, I cannot state enough how impactful that's been for my overall mental health. So yeah, definitely a lot going on. And I'm sure next week we're going to have a lot more to talk about that on this too. So yeah, let's wrap this bad boy up. All right.
Okay.
One thing that I want to bring up, House of the Dragon. I'm about to watch the season finale tonight. I'm super stoked.
Oh.
What I want to hear in the chat, comment below. I'm going to try to do this once a week. Bring up something that hit me hard. Bro, 8th episode, I think. There's a scene of the king walking. This is the whole scene, by the way. The king, I'm going to straight up, I'm going to tell you the blocking. The king comes through the door. He walks down a long corridor as people are watching him, struggling the whole time because he's old and he's dying, just to make it to the Iron Throne and sit on it so that he can, well, you don't exactly know where he's going to go, if he's going to help his daughter or not. But this king, it's just the most epic scene. And I realize so much of it is contextual because, first of all, the music's incredible, but it's a 2.5 minute sequence. Okay. It's paced definitely faster than how long it took the guy to walk it, but it's lets itself play out. And all of it is doing is it's hinging on all of the relationships. It's just all about context. Because that scene is really boring otherwise, but all of the context of all of the relationships that have been built out through this season, culminating in this moment, his relationship with his brother, his relationship with his daughter, his relationship with his wife, his relationship with his sister, right? His relationship with his old friend, the Hand of the King. All these people want something out of him. They want good. They want bad. They all want something for themselves. And it just felt so good that this king, who basically has been essentially not able to have any agency in the last few years of his life due to his illness, just took the power back in this moment. And my favorite part of the scene is, which shout out if this shit hits you, is two things. One, the Hand of the King, who has been kind of running things, he's like climbing to the thing and he looks at him and he just says to him, "I will sit on the Iron Throne today," or whatever. And I was like, ooh, it feels so good. That's what I mean. He's like, "No, bro, I'm going to make these choices. I'm going to die on this shit. I don't care if it kills me to get there, but like, I'm in control." And that really clicked with me. And then number two is that he's had issues with his brother the whole time, and he's trying to climb up the steps and his crown falls off his head, and his brother's the one who picks up the crown after all of the infighting they've had for all these years. And his brother looks at him and says, "Go," helps him get up to sit on the throne and puts the crown on his head. And I was just like, damn, Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. I was like, you guys, that's what actually to me is like pinnacle storytelling, because those are the hard scenes. It's not that hard to make like dragons fighting cool, right? It's definitely impeccable storytelling over the course of like building it up for just that scene to land of this guy walking to the throne. That's all he did. He just walked on a cane for like 2.5 minutes. So I want to shout that out as I think a really incredible scene in the season. And I love those things. And I think I'm going to try to bring this up more for people so they can go back and watch what I think are the harder scenes. You remember that scenes in Stranger Things The one that I was talking about with the girl, I'll bring that up next time, so I have a little bit more context with the girl praying or reading the letter to her brother. I think,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's those scenes that I'm like, wow, the way that they executed something that people gloss over or, don't put effort into, like, I love it. That's craftsmanship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you make something like that compelling when it's so simple, and which to me, like, as in, like, you don't have that many tools.
That's totally something I love as a non-story person. Like, when I see that kind of thing, it really...
Yes, dude. When you watch this scene, you can't help. Even if you have no context, you don't feel, but you understand. You're like, wow, I can see all the things that they did. That if I knew these people, it would matter a lot. And so, like, they just have a really good, acute understanding of where they had built those relationships, what they could say about them, and of course, performances, music, and everything comes together. And I think you get one of the best scenes in the season. Easy top 3 scenes in the season for sure. Fight me in the comments. I'm ready to do battle. Hit me with the life hack, Grace. What you got for us this week?
So this week, on Friday, Dale's friend Ramphis invited us to a party at, what is it, Jonathan Gray's?
Jonathan Gray. Yeah.
Gray's party. Yeah.
I gotta say his name right. Guy is a very prominent entertainment lawyer, man. He did Precious. He did, so many other movies as an entertainment lawyer. So shout out Jonathan Gray. Thank you for having us at your offices in gigantic pictures. Always a pleasure.
Awesome party. And so talk about personas. I showed up in not work mode. I didn't realize that it was a miscommunication. Dale thought we were in work mode. I didn't think we're in work mode. So I was in my non-work socializing mode.
Dude, this chick, she was partying.
Persona.
Y'all. She was just... She abandoned
and that's
my
the thing.
ass talking to people. I was like, what is happening here?
That's like... I realized, I was like, of course I had a few drinks, but like that wasn't the point, because like I could have drinks and like not talk, but I was in a very outgoing persona that I get sometimes. Anyway, I was having a good time and I had a friend with me, and then you had your date to the party, and I started talking to your date and then I left you to talk to other people, and then I was going to go to the bathroom.
Me. You abandoned me.
Hey, I was going to go to the bathroom and they both followed me. So I was like, okay. Or maybe my friend went and I was going to go with her, and then your date followed us. And we were like, yeah, come. So anyway, we hung out in the bathroom, and this is the hack. While we were in the bathroom and we're just talking about our lives, totally unrelated to the film world, people would come in and out of the bathroom and hear our conversation and comment on it and jump in. And then that's how we got to know people one-on-one on a personal level, and then also on a professional level. So that was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
That is definitely a girls only hack, probably, because dudes don't really do that communal bathroom thing that girls do. And
it's so fun.
I gotta say, like, you guys were gone for over 30 minutes, and I started panicking at one point, like, where the hell did everybody go? I couldn't, and of course I was searching the whole place, and obviously the one place I couldn't look is where you guys were, and I don't know why it didn't click that y'all might be hanging out in the bathroom, but like I have no idea how big his bathrooms even are, so like,
right.
It was just so funny in like retrospect. But Grace ended up meeting more people that night than I did.
Yeah, just from the bathroom. And the people and who they are and their names and their backgrounds just stuck more in my mind because it felt more intimate. We weren't yelling over loud music. It's something about the bathroom.
And also, like, I think like when you're out there, it's everybody's thinking business. Oh, what are you working on? And blah, blah, blah. But like, It's just an opportunity. I'm sure it's a relief to be like, oh, thank God, not. It's just like maybe a more intimate, vulnerable kind of place. Like you're not really planning to do business in the bathroom. So whatever conversation's happening there is probably way more natural, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, God, that's a good one.
I loved it.
That's a good one. You ready?
Yeah. No, I don't have a question. So you go. I don't have an answer either. I know the question this week, but...
Yes, this happened earlier this week. I don't know why I thought of it, but then I thought maybe we'll save it for the podcast. My question for you this week, Grace, is do you forget who you are when you're acting? And like, is that even, you know what I mean?
Interesting question because, okay, I'm gonna break it down into, there are times where I'm truly locked in to the scene and my scene partner, and it's like so real. And then there are times when I'm in my head. So when I'm in my head, no, I don't forget of who I am. I'm like only thinking like I suck, like this is weird. But when I am locked in, the times, I don't want to say that I forget about myself. It's such a blackout moment because I go through it and it feels like I'm riding a wave and I'm not controlling anything and it's just flowing, which is the best feeling. I freaking love when I let go of control and I have no control over anything. It's the best. And then I come out of it and it felt like I blacked out and I don't remember. So it's hard because I'm acting with someone and it's me, but it's not like I forget my identity because I'm still being honest from me. But I guess it's like freeing, and I start like the thing that I love is like making choices that I wouldn't so freely, just being so decisive about like, this is how I would live my life and like, you know, and this is how I would do things. I'll say it's like freeing from me. So in that sense, I can say, yeah, like I put myself aside, but I don't know. It's hard to answer.
At least you attempted it. I mean, it was funny because that's what
it's so artsy too.
I was thinking about personas, and I was thinking about, you know, when I work out and I channel the darkness, like sometimes a really good set feels like sort of an out of body experience.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm just like,
yeah.
this that wasn't me who like lifted that weight, you know?
Oh,
kind of, you know what I mean?
Totally get that feeling. Yeah. I felt that.
And
in that sense, yes.
Yeah, like I'm in a different, which, you know, I think Tony Robbins talks about this a lot. Like it's you're in a different state. And you're talking about like, you know, the flow state or whatever, right? Or the alpha state or whatever. But like there's definitely, obviously if you could trigger it and control it, then it's really cool. But like that's kind of what I was asking, where I was just like, sometimes, and you're right, it's definitely not every time, you know? But there was a workout I heard early in this week that, I don't know, you know, I just hit another place.
Mm-hmm. Your third eye opened.
Yeah. Shout out to Atlas. Yeah, and I think, I don't know if it was, you know, last weekend I was inspired by, I was at MSG as the World Finals, you know, for League of Legends. Or not the World Finals, it was in the semifinals, but basically, or quarterfinals, it was the quarterfinals. Watching, and if anyone's seen this, shout it out, DRX versus EDG. But like, I felt like I watched a team come together and achieve something beyond what they thought they could that day. I don't know. Maybe something was in my head. But like, yeah, I just had like some pseudo out of body moment when I was lifting weights the other day, that I just was thinking about, like, when you're performing, do you lose yourself, you know? I think our imaginations are way more powerful, you know, like super powerful. Mind over matter kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hit me.
There's a thing of...
please,
okay.
please finish.
Well, there's a thing of... This is more theater, because when you're in film, it's like so fast that you don't really... Oh, actually, no, it can be either. When you're preparing for a role and you're like doing all the research and you're getting really into the headspace, I can find an argument for like not losing yourself, but like you're getting very attuned to like one part of yourself that it's like, whoa, who am I? Like definitely felt that.
Yep.
Anyway, question. Okay, this one is kind of like follow-up. So have you ever watched a movie twice in a row, like in one sitting?
No. Have I rewound scenes? Yes.
Okay.
So I've never done like back to back. Normally, I'm definitely the kind of person when I finish a movie that's like open up the Wikipedia and like, because I would have craft questions. Sometimes I have story questions too, but like usually I'm like, man, that scene, I wonder this, and I'll Google it to be like, they did do it, you know, split diopter, of course, that's what it was, you know. But I definitely kind of dig in like that. And there's, to be completely honest, now I rarely rewatch anything. There's actually just so much that the only opportunity I ever have for rewatching something is, and it's because I need a new experience, it'd be showing somebody else something. Yeah. So the last thing that I rewatched was Arcane.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see if that would hit with somebody who knew nothing about League of Legends, And I had a wonderful experience watching it a second time, catching all these little things, but really seeing this other person experience it. That's where the value was. And if there is something like, for example, Power of the Dog last year moved me craft-wise. And I know that when I want to like access that, I just would. I'd stop and start, or I'd look specifically for the things that I need to look for. It's going to be unlikely that I watch it again, start to finish, unless I'm taking notes or something about every part of it. But I think I did it so much when I was younger, but I was acquiring so much knowledge every single time. It's like now I can kind of see the thing as it's happening. So it's more like a detail or a specific thing that I'd want to look at, not like the whole thing. Like the whole thing I get, but I will I'll go back and I'll watch parts of The Social Network or parts of Old Boy or like whatever I need to reference that is specific to what I'm thinking about. So for example, I mentioned Arcane and I was like talking to you earlier about something for a story I'm working on that I was like, I'm pulling, it's a la this. And so I know I can go back and watch a couple of scenes from that just to reinforce whatever idea I thought I had about it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But watching it again all the way through is unlikely. I've definitely thought about watching Breaking Bad all the way through again.
Wow.
Definitely thought about watching Game of Thrones. Because the TV shows, it's like, I don't remember what happened in the first season of Game of Thrones outside of the big event. So there's probably a lot that I would be like, wow. Like sometimes I forgot. They're like, didn't you see this? I'm like, 10 years ago.
Well, then what is something that you've watched multiple times? Like what's
Anime,
something you
for
watch
sure.
the most?
Anime.
Like a whole show you watched
Dude,
over and over?
Evangelion, I must have seen Evangelion at least like 10, 15, 20 times by now in my life. Probably.
No way.
That was the one that I would show to everybody, bro. And it would blow everybody's mind every time. I never, ever, ever felt bad about it. Everybody, if anybody dates me, you're watching Evangelion. It's happening. Just know that. But like, for sure, that is one. But like, I basically know every frame of that show. But there's a massive personal connection to it. I've seen Death Note probably like 4 or 5 times. The anime, I think, is one that I don't have a problem. But now it's the same thing. No matter what, now it's like, it's got to be worth it. The only thing I'm thinking about rewatching would be Code Geass again. Because I remember actually really liking it. And I'll tell you what I finished recently, which I saw most of, was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I finally watched all of it in the pandemic. And that show is goated. It is for sure one of the great animes. So yeah, I think it's just...
Cool.
I think it's just a sort of, there's just way more stuff to watch now, basically,
Yeah.
It's like impossible to just stick with a few things. I'm even picky about what I watch. Like I have to know it's good and I have to know that I'll like it because I feel like I'm missing out on something else that I would like. So yeah, it's become a whole different thing. But I'll watch it again if you're there, or I'll at least show you. I'll make you watch it and then we can break it down. Like that's fun. So yeah.
For what?
Anything, any reason, like The Matrix.
Anything.
Like, everybody here should watch. Everybody should watch The Matrix if you want to make movies, guys. Like, it kills me when I bring up The Matrix and nobody has seen it or understands why people talk about it. From a filmmaking perspective, at least. So yeah, very interesting. All right.
Cool.
Well, that does it for another week. Thank you guys for sticking around. Hopefully, getting some value out of this, business, personal, or otherwise. Work hard, be nice. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you next time. We're out.